Hello. Oh wait, Eve, you muted yourself, I think.
Always. Guys, this is like a huge problem. Anyways, hello. Welcome to Chewed Gum. We're super professional over here. It is November 12th. We already have several calls in the line that I'm excited to talk with them about. But give us a call, 720-619-2288. We're looking forward to chatting. I'm hoping that Alyssa will show us her shirt because I am out of town, so I don't have mine right now, which I'm very sad about. I love it. I love it so much.
It's one of the things where like I wear it so much that I have to wash it so much that I think I've worn and washed it like 5 times since I've gotten it, and that was not that long ago. I just love it,
and it's so jealous.
It's also just like fun merch. Like I love telling people that this is our merch.
Yeah,
you know?
No, I think it's amazing, and Arden crushed it with the design.
Yes, she did. Oh my God. I pulled up the YouTube, like our live stream, in like on another screen, and the volume was absolutely blasting your eardrums loud. And so I'm trying to listen to what you're saying, and I'm hearing like an ad about, I don't know what this is, Typeform. What even is that?
I'm so sorry.
It's fine. Again, very professional show. I'd like to also let you know, in the spirit of professionalism, that I did spill water on my laptop. If you were here last week, my electricity just went out while we were about to do super chats. Electricity gone.
Gone.
So again,
I was like, get your super chats in so Alyssa can read them, and then you were like, actually, guys,
and then
weather.
And then I literally. Yeah, that was crazy because I think it was just wind. Like it was just strange. But anyway, so, we're working with what we got. And if I'm looking over this way, it's because I'm reading our super chats or whatever, but I'm going to try and look at you guys as best I can.
We all know I sit here looking at my pad of paper. So
yes,
we do what we have to run this show around here.
Oh, another random thing, and then we're going to get into calls because we have a lot.
No, please.
I also, we have to have like a little bit of like bullshit time in the beginning. I also, while I was brushing my teeth, I don't know what I did. I'm a very clumsy person in
Can't
general.
wait for wherever
Like,
this is going.
and I took my toothbrush and I don't know how, but I like scraped my gum like up here. And
Oh,
so now it's like turned into like a sore type of situation and it
oh,
hurts. And I get Botox in this muscle for like clenching my jaw, and I hadn't done it in like it's been like over a year because I was like I think I'm okay, like I don't think I need it. Oh my god, I was so wrong because I bit my tongue in my sleep. So this side of my tongue swollen, chewed,
oh
and
no.
this whole side of my face, throw it away. Throw it away. So if I talk weird,
I'm so sorry.
don't be sorry. It's because this is just life. It's these are life things that we can just like complain and laugh about. So silly. Just like the silly things. Anyways,
The horrors persist.
the horse
All of
persist.
them. All of them. They're there. They're persisting, but so do we. We are
So
here.
do we.
I actually love that we just did. I also feel like I've been living on this show because basically we were on election night and then 2 nights later we had Chewed Gum on a Friday. And then I was on Sunday show with Forrest on Sunday night. And now here we are. But I love this. I like hanging out more often. I like weeks where we have multiple shows. And then we have, which I'll talk about this again later, but just a reminder, we have Saturday, the Secular Student Alliance fundraiser. And that's going to be a really fun time. We'll be hanging out Saturday. I think it's 2 to 10. I don't remember exactly, but it'll be on here. And there'll be different ones of us popping in and out and hanging out, and it'll be a really good time. So more of us. You just get to keep hanging out all the time, even though
I know
Donald Trump is still the elected president. But that's okay. Like I said, the horrors persist.
The horrors persist. The horrors persist.
Should we get to a call? I don't know if you see one that looks like you want to start with a particular one.
Are our lines filled? No, almost. I don't know. Actually, really, it doesn't matter. We could do whichever one you would like. We do have a theist who called, and we like to prioritize a theist. So if you want,
should we start there?
Yeah, why not?
Okay, great.
Just get right into it.
Yeah,
confront the horrors.
Okay, let's. Hey, Jordan, you are on with Eve and Alyssa.
Hello.
Hey, what do you want to talk to us about tonight?
Well, wait. So there was a first, but then there's a new first. The first is that I'm eating lentils, so I'm gonna have to. If I take a little while to respond because I'm eating. The second, more original first.
You're doing what?
I'm so happy. I'm so happy to talk to you guys. And yeah.
Sorry, what was that you said you're in the middle of doing?
You mean my first? It's eating lentils. So if I don't respond,
if you want to eat, I think that maybe you should just call us back. We could put you back because when I have a phone conversation like this on the line, then I don't want there to be some kind of excuse of like, well, I'm in the middle of eating because I'm here ready to talk, and I know Alyssa is. So I'm totally happy to put you back in rotation, and we can get back to you after another caller. Do you want to do that?
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll take another caller and then we'll chat with you. We'll put you back. Yeah. All right. Thanks, Jordan. Okay. When Jordan is done with dinner, then we can chat. I would like I understand. That's why I ate my dinner before I started the show, and maybe he thought that we were going to take longer to get to him, so we'll just go with that. Are you down to talk with Tyler? Sure. I'm kind of interested to hear what this is about. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can actually push the button. Well, there we go. Hey, Tyler, you are on with Eve and Alyssa. What do you want to chat with us about tonight?
Hey, how's it going? Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
We can.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I just kind of wanted to, I guess, discuss abortion. This may be quick. Maybe we might find some agreement. I kind of wanted to go through a few points and then just let you guys have at it.
Sounds great.
Okay.
Okay, so I agree with abortion, but I don't think right to body is a good reason for abortion. I think recognizing fetuses as low sentient or just not sentient at all is more helpful for women. I think it's a more convincing argument. So the right to your body isn't a good reason to kill another sentient being. The right to your body is a good reason to kill a non-sentient being. So for example, if you consent in an act that potentially were to like poof a fully grown human that would be attached to your body, I don't find it moral to kill that person. But if you consent in an act that potentially poofs like a non-sentient being onto your body, I find it moral to kill that thing. Additionally, another example is, for example, if you consent to donate your kidney to a sentient being or sentient person, you're giving up some bodily autonomy to keep that person alive. I don't think you can then take your kidney back from them and kill them. But similarly, if you consent to give a non-sentient being your kidney, and you say, hey, I want my kidney back, I think you should be able to ask for that kidney back and kill the non-sentient being.
So
okay, Alyssa, you go ahead.
Would you say that if a person is my first thought is it's kind of my first thought, and really kind of like where I think I'm always going to have kind of a hard stop with it is, okay, if that's how you feel, then don't abort your child. But I don't really know why your opinion has to be the opinion that applies to everyone else.
Yeah, I think, Tyler, that's the main issue that I was going to point out from the get-go, is that you're arguing whether you think abortion is moral or not. My argument that I make is about what is the legality of it. I don't think that you should be able to legislate someone else's body in that way. I find that unacceptable. And as far as morality, I think people have to figure that out, what they want. I had to get life-saving abortion care because I had an ectopic pregnancy. And I don't find that, I don't care if it was, like I've made this argument, if it's a grown person attached to me, if I'm having, like, without my consent attached to this being to keep them alive, I don't think that you should be required to do that. So yeah, I guess with what Alyssa's saying, I understand that that's your argument and how you rationalize it, why you're okay with abortion, or why you said you support or agree with abortion or whatever. But and that's great, whatever you've decided on your stance morally, but it's the legality that matters, because that's what people are trying to use to take control over other people.
Right. And the other thing too is you are prioritizing the opinion of the men who are ultimately decision makers in this, over women who are saying that they don't want the abortion to be something that is subject to a government to decide. It violates the privacy of each individual in that state as well. And I think, you're allowed to have whatever kind of morals and values you want within your house. But in the spirit of this being a free country, like Eve said, legally, those rights deserve to be protected. And we know that when abortion is illegal, the rate of abortion does not go down, but the rate of safe abortions does go down. So people will still have abortions. They're just not going to have safe access to it. So we're not really discouraging people from doing the actual act itself. So I would rather have a safe way for people to perform a medical procedure that is private and between themselves and the doctor, than have those women have their lives be risked because, respectfully, I mean, this is not personal, but like because a random person like in Oklahoma has an opinion of what she does with her body. And it's also like many times people who are pro-life are also aligned with other beliefs that would lead me to think that it's not really about protecting the child. It's about protecting a woman's choice of what she wants to do with her body. Which again, it's like, Tyler, if that's what works for you and for your future partnerships and the potential pregnancies that you may have, like moving forward with other people or whatever, then that's great. Then that's how you can conduct your own life. But that doesn't really mean that everyone else doesn't have access to a safe medical procedure as a result.
Yeah, I maybe I wasn't clear. I agree with abortion being legal.
No. Right.
Okay.
But my concern is that that's just not a good argument, because we can't the whole debate about abortion is so that we actually have our rights. If you try to argue with somebody who believes that abortion is murder and you try to lay out this whole like sentience thing for them, non-sentience, it's not going to go very far, because there are religious people with so many extreme beliefs to the point that they think masturbation is wrong, all kinds of things. So to me, it is a waste of time to argue the morality of abortion, because that person can do whatever they want. And if they want to get an abortion, I think they should be able to. And if they don't want to get one, then I'm not trying to convince them to do something that goes against their own conscience, you know?
Yeah, I think the bigger or like more interesting question for you guys, either of you, is: do you think, let's just go crazy, we'll say like 6 months. Do you think a fetus, a baby, whatever you want to call it, around that time is sentient? If you do, I'd be interested in knowing why you're like okay with killing sentient life. If you don't think it's sentient or has very low level of sentient, then I don't think there's any like disagreement here.
Well,
for the record, I've never given my opinion on what abortions I would be comfortable having. And I couldn't possibly know until I'm in that situation. People that need an abortion later on in their pregnancy, it's usually for very, 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 very good reason. Almost always because it's a non-viable pregnancy anyways. Somebody is going to, the fetus or the carrier is going to die if something doesn't happen, or there's like an extreme birth defect or something like that. So again, you're trying to talk about the morality behind something. I've never shared what I would or wouldn't do. The legality of it is that a woman should have the option to figure that out with her doctor if that's needed.
Okay. Yeah. If you guys don't really want to engage on the, if you think it's sentient or not, then okay. I mean, I think we're getting to the same conclusion, just different ways. I find that the conversation around women's body usually kind of gets struck down because people say, like, they minimize the argument. They make it out to be like, well, it's your body. You can just do like anything you want, right? They kind of like, they shit on the argument for usually not good reason. But I find this a better reason, because if, for example, we're okay with like killing certain animals, we're okay with killing certain people that are far more sentient than like, let's say a very new fetus, like a couple weeks old, but they wouldn't be okay with killing that. So I would rather convince them that this is not really life. This is not something sentient, like ants or snails or, things that you squish all day, every day and don't even think about it, are more sentient than this thing that you want to keep alive. So I don't know. I find that to be an easier way to convince people.
Has that worked for you? Because that's never worked for me. The people that I have to argue this with do not give a shit about science. This is about dogma, and this is about the Bible, which it doesn't even say anything in there in the Bible about abortion. But for them, this is a moral high ground. It is about sticking to this one thing. And there's if you even try to say that a fetus is not sentient, they're going to be like, he knit you together in his mother's womb. There's fingerprints. We can show you. Here's the thing. They are fully on board with that propaganda. I'm just curious. Have you had a lot of debates with people from this standpoint?
No, but similarly, so I engage in a lot of vegan debates, and this is, I don't know how familiar you guys are with that, but sentience surrounding animal like life, I guess you could say, is like, this is like a really, really common tactic or common discussion point, I guess you could say, for animals. And I think it works really well with animals. And I think you could easily transition it to fetuses. So like, wanting to not harm sentient things, or wanting to, or giving access to harm non-sentient things, or low-level sentient things at least.
It's hard because I also feel like part of this whole argument, because I understand, I did also, first of all, misunderstand in the beginning. Like, I thought you were arguing that whatever. I did misunderstand and I'm glad that you clarified. But I think that the argument, I don't know, maybe it will work on some people, but I think what's most kind of like, what gives me like immediate resistance when listening to that be what might potentially pull someone over the edge is, it's kind of like, why isn't my bodily autonomy enough? Like, why can't it just be that like it's my body and I just don't want to do this, And like, that's not like a, it's, and that's what's like, if that ultimately, it's like, if that argument pushes someone over the line that would not have gotten over the line before, then that's great, because the end goal is to get people to be more, allowing of people to have care like that. But at the same time, it is sort of like disheartening to be like, the reason why we can't, or not, we can't. The reason why that argument might be stronger is by saying that you have essentially like a slug in your body, and versus me being a person who is like capable of making decisions and is capable of evaluating my life and my choices, just saying, I just don't want to do this, So it's a tough argument for me. Like, I don't think I could ever use that argument and in good faith, because I immediately have this like this bodily like resistance to it, where I'm like, my own decision and my own like request for my body and privacy of those choices should be enough, But I understand what you're saying, and I don't know, maybe it will work on some people.
I just think the other problem. So, for example, self-defense. I think we're going to have different answers as far as how far somebody would go in self-defense. And maybe somebody would be like, I would never hurt another human. I'll get hurt before that happens, but I just wouldn't do it, even if it's self-defense. And then somebody else is going to be like, I don't care. If somebody breaks into my house, I have a gun, I'm shooting them, I think that the individual gets to decide what they do in that situation, but the right to defend yourself should still be there. You know what I'm saying? Like, you should still be able, like, that bodily autonomy matters. And so for me, arguing about trying to convince somebody of their own morals, like, let them do, like, if they don't want abortions, if they think that this is a life, great. They can keep it. They don't have to get an abortion. They can carry those pregnancies if they want. But the argument is not about that. It's not about whether this is something somebody thinks is moral or not. It's about, should pregnant people's bodies be legislated like that? So that's why I don't even want to engage in arguments about this morality aspect, because they can decide whatever. I want our bodies to be protected, not to be controlled in this way.
I have if I talk to a woman, and they consented, let's say this is ridiculous, right? It's a hypothetical. It's ridiculous. They consented. They said, I know engaging in this act might result in me having a fully sentient being attached to me. And this person believes that fetuses are fully sentient and they're going to have that attached to them. And they also said, I'm going to kill it. I'd have a tough time swallowing that belief if that's what they said. I would tell them, you're in conflict with your own belief. I don't believe that.
The problem is, I don't know anybody doing that.
I thought you said that many Christian or many religious people, they do believe that these things are 100% sentient.
They think that is happening. But I don't know women that are saying, I'm going out and doing this. Like, unless I'm unclear about what you're saying, it's just like that hypothetical is, I don't get it. I'm not fully understanding what your point is. Alyssa,
Okay, no worries. I think we're reaching the conclusion. Oh, sorry.
No, you can go ahead. I don't think I have any other like bigger things to add to it, because it's hard once we also get into like the hypotheticals too. It's like the conversation can sort of like it can like take off in so many different directions that it almost like loses its grounds. It loses its like roots in what actual conversations people are having and like how people actually feel. And then I don't know how helpful it is, but yeah, I don't know. Do you have anything else to add?
For example, when I had my ectopic pregnancy, that was an intentional pregnancy. I wanted to have a child at that point in my life. And so I had gotten pregnant on purpose. And then it almost killed me. And so I had to have, life-saving measures taken, and including abortion care. So to me, I don't care if like that had nothing, that was still devastating, because sentience or not, that was to me a life I was looking forward to having. And so that argument, I just think, still is irrelevant. I did what I had to do because I was going to die. And I just think that that's not the way to address this, because that's not what's at stake. I don't need to convince people to get abortions. I need to convince people to not regulate other people's bodies that isn't theirs.
Yeah.
And I agree with your conclusion. If you are the sentient being, you consented to do something, but then you have like a problem, something's wrong, you're going to get hurt or injured. This other sentient being is going to have to accept that you can't keep them around, right? So then you would, you get rid of them. So I completely agree with that. Now, like you said, there's a lot of different scenarios and individual instances, and I don't want to take up too much more of your time. I think we're coming to the same conclusion, but different arguments. So yeah, thanks for hearing out my argument.
Yeah. Thanks, Tyler. Have a good one.
Okay.
I guess I got announcements. Go ahead.
Oh yeah. I was just gonna say, I felt like I was having a hard time following some of Tyler's like thought process through that. So if I don't know. I felt like I don't know. I felt like I was not totally on it for that call, but I think I was sort of like losing the plot a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just, at the end of the day, I don't think it's our response. Like I said, I don't want to convince people to get abortions that don't want to get them. That's fine if
Yeah.
I care about the legality. I don't really care about what somebody thinks is wrong or right. That's for them to figure out, and then they can decide what they want to do based off of that.
Yeah.
Anyways, announcements. We have the hang up tomorrow, but I don't know yet who's hosting, so that'll be a surprise. And then we have Takis on Thursday with Luxander and Ben. Friday, it's going to be the fundraiser pre-show with Jimmy and Forrest and Matt, so I'm sure that'll be a fun time. And then Saturday is all day the fundraiser. More details to come. Alyssa and I will be hanging out. I'm sure we'll both post about it on our social media so you can know what time. I think it'll be earlier in the day for both of us. Maybe we'll even be on at the same time, which would be really fun. And then that brings us to the Sunday show with Forrest and Matt. And then the Sunday show after dark with Seth and Shannon Q. Seth Andrews, that is. And then Skep Talk on Monday with Aaron Raw and Aaron Adair. Anytime Aaron and Aaron are on together, I have to like sit there and be like, say it correctly.
Yeah.
And then Tuesday, Alyssa and I are back. We are back. I love all these shows together. I feel like this summer
I'm
was
excited.
So wild. Also, I forgot to say earlier, super chats of $5 or more. We will read at the end. Hopefully Alyssa will still be with us.
So far, the wind has been fine. My laptop, I don't know, seems to be fine. I don't know. I think I'll be here. I'll be here through the end. Also, sometimes I forget that like all of this summer, you were just like in a different country. Remember The Fly?
Oh my God. What was her name? Tinkerbell.
Tinkerbell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was great.
I hope she's doing.
Those are
Hope
fun
she's doing all right.
times.
Yeah, she's probably dead, but of natural causes.
Yeah, she had a great life. She got to hang out with somebody every Tuesday night.
I know, and she also got to be exposed to hundreds of people through this lovely streaming service that we have going on. And honestly, she's probably one of the most famous, most exposed flies that have ever, buzzed around that area. So I think you gave her a great life.
Finland's little countryside star.
Exactly.
And she even got super chats. So those are good times.
What a lucky fly.
I didn't have indoor plumbing for like 2 months, so that was exciting. Those are
I know.
different times. But I did have more rights. I did have more rights. I did.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
Yeah.
God.
Man. Should we see if Jordan's done eating dinner, or maybe take another caller and then get to Jordan?
I mean, I feel like it's been like at least 15 minutes. I don't know. Maybe let's try Jordan again.
Okay, let's see. Hey Jordan, are you ready to chat?
Yep, you'd be correct.
Okay, awesome. Let's do it.
No, honestly, because I accidentally hung up, and I thought I'd be like 30 minutes back in queue. So I was like, man, I'm just gonna eat my dinner. Like, I'm gonna wait 30 minutes.
All good.
Okay. So I'm gonna be so honest. I thought that we had to talk about God. But, it's okay.
If you want to.
Well, it's because I told the I don't know what he's called, the operator, the kind of purgatory waiting room.
Our screener.
Yeah.
Purgatory waiting room.
So it's okay if I talk about something else.
What do you want to talk about?
Okay.
Like, what's your main claim or question? We have to have like a topic, and we'll decide if that's something we want to do or not. But typically, we like to go with whatever it was put in the queue as.
Okay, so I'll ask, and then if not, then I'll just go back to what I put.
Sure.
So what do we do? In like American politics, it's supposed to be the most democratic thing, and this was supposed to be the one system that was supposed to be forever, and it seems like it's not, but I really don't know if it's systematic or.
We democratically elected a fascist, basically. So we don't know exactly what happens next. And as far as what do we do, I hope there are much smarter people and experts that are working on strategies as far as the big plan. But as far as everyday people, what can we do? I think this is a phenomenal time to get involved with your community, to find out how you can be there for different people in your community, to provide support systems for people that may end up really, really needing it. I think it's a good time to, if you have any interest, to get involved in local politics, to start gearing up for elections in 2 years. I think it's a great time to have difficult conversations with people who think differently than you and start engaging in those. I think it really depends on the individual, but ultimately, yeah, we're in unprecedented times. We don't know how this is going to go. We know what some of the agenda is, some of it. We've seen that they've accomplished some of it already. And it doesn't look good. It looks really, really, really bad. And so I think, I do think there is a massive amount of importance around building community right now and about being there for others. Because I do think that when times get really dark, like when fascist leaders are in control, the stories you hear throughout history where good happened and where people were saved and protected is where there was community. So that's That's my best take for now. I'm still processing myself.
I get you.
Yeah, I agree with everything Eve said, and my only thing that I would add is just to do what you can to continue to like just stay informed as best you can, because I feel that the next 4 years there's going to be an exhausting amount of bad news that is coming down the pipelines, and there will also be moments, I'm sure, of good news too, or things that like turned out better than we thought they would be and whatever. But I think especially if you are in one of the groups of people who is not going to be as heavily affected by the legislation that's going to attempts to come down the pipeline, it's so important that we stay really vigilant and almost kind of like protect the people who are going to be targeted throughout the next 4 years. Like I've had a lot of conversations with some of my friends who are Black women, and like having conversations even just with them about how we can take some of the burden from their day-to-day concern, and like how can we make sure that we're prioritizing these people that as a white woman, many other white women left behind per their choice. And so it's important that we all stay super involved and aware of what's going on to the best of our ability, so that people who are going to be more heavily affected in a real-time, like day-to-day basis can also take moments of like rest from time to time.
Mm-hmm.
I think.
Because it's also like the president doesn't really have an impact on our local lives as much as our city government does, and that's a common thing to say, right? But I think one step further is like people know who the president is, but they don't know who their mayor is, I'm just wondering how do we
that
foster
stuff
that
is
community?
important, but that stuff is very important. However, it is important to note that we have a lot going on internationally right now that will absolutely be impacted based on Donald Trump being president. And that, I know it feels far away, but it could very easily start impacting us here. Also with the tariffs, we're all going to suffer from that.
Right.
So we'll see the effects of that. And then with the Supreme Court, when he's going to be in control of that, we don't know. We don't know what's going to happen. We know that they have some pretty horrible plans that would start impacting us. I mean, with the overturning of Roe v. Wade, that instantly started impacting all kinds of women in all sorts of states. So a lot of elections, we can sit back and be like, yeah, well, luckily the president doesn't really impact stuff that much, and it'll be about local stuff. But that's because we haven't had a fascist dictator. So it is a bit different this time. However, still, yes, important to get involved locally and all that, but this is a little different.
Yeah, and I think also it is important, like you've said, it is important to stay involved locally. The problem too is we have seen historically in the Trump presidency, we already have started seeing it with the mayor of New York City. Once Trump was elected, people start to kind of fall into line, and that includes your local government. I think that they're anticipating some sort of like, not everyone, but there are some people who are going to be anticipating some sort of benefit to Trump being being president. And so they're trying to figure out ways that they can take advantage of the new system that we're going to have while he's there. We've already seen it.
Yeah, I think
it'll happen again.
I think I saw that the stocks for private prisons were going up because it's expected that there's going to be more incarceration, and that's just terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not looking great.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's because it's like
I wish I had something better to say, but yeah, it's not looking great. I mean, I was talking to some of my different activist friends today, and they're already coming up with plans to start working from overseas because they're worried about not just censorship, but getting arrested for speaking out against Trump and against religion. That's another thing. We're worried about freedom of speech and how that's going to change everything. So, the fact that we even are having to have these conversations is wild. It's really wild. But we do have to have them. And I'm glad that we're all trying to figure out, okay, what do we do? What can we do? Because we have to start figuring shit out.
Yeah. Just trying to like stay involved. Even just there are it happens really often that when there's a big event happening in the US, that is when some really insane international things happen. And that even with moments like that, I can't remember there was one particular time that I felt like I saw it more than others where there was something happening in the US and everyone just started going, why is this happening now? What's happening internationally? And I can't remember what the US event was, that it was like kind of strange. But every time there's something that happened, even like on election day, there were international things happening that people get distracted from. So like, I guess just trying to avoid being distracted by the things that are happening locally is important too. I don't know. It's hard. I feel like I want to encourage people to not exhaust themselves either, like put every bit of their mental health on the line to stay informed, but doing the best you can without really, really, oh, it was the Super Bowl. That's exactly what it was. It was the Super Bowl. Yeah. Anyways, so just making sure that you're kind of like staying on top of it and having skepticism both ways, because I think that across the board, we're going to see some really insane stuff happening in the next 4 years. I'm interested actually, especially in the next few months, because everyone has been really quiet. Like Kamala's been quiet and Trump's been quiet. And I feel more weird about that than anything. What is going on?
Right.
So even like in the week since the election, I am kind of like, hello, are we not? What's going on? And I'm feeling a little skeptical. Not a little. I'm feeling very skeptical. I feel like some conversations are happening, and I want to know what they are. I don't know. I feel like I'm all over the place with this because it's just every day is something new that I'm learning about what's been evolving, and it's just terrifying.
Honestly, something that, there's two things that I keep in mind. It's what you said, but it's also that I actually would not rather feel happy, because if I felt happy with the situation that's happening right now, I wouldn't care about people. The reason I feel all these things is because I care, and I'd rather feel what I'm feeling now and care than feel happy and just not give a shit about what everyone else is feeling or happening to them. Yeah. That's one. And then two,
I think
there's something, I'm sorry, what?
No, I interrupted. You go ahead.
So two is when you overwork yourself, you become a burden to the other organizers, because then now they have to pick up for you, and you start snapping at people. Your work becomes less quality. It's like a snowball effect. If you burn yourself out, it just keeps getting worse. It's almost like if you get anxious, then your sensory perception gets higher, and because your sensory perception gets higher, you get more anxious. So if you get into that overworked kind of state, it's very hard to pick yourself back up, right? Instead of taking the 5-minute, 10-minute, 15-minute rest and not letting yourself get to that state. Those are the two things that honestly keep me going,
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. And I think it's important. I love that point that you made, that yes, of course we're feeling this way because we care about the people we know that will be impacted by it, not just ourselves, but everybody else. And also, like you said, it's important to take care of ourselves so we don't settle in that place. That should be the fuel for figuring out the next move. And if we just kind of like stay in this place of like, I don't know. I feel like it's a grief that we're experiencing, and that makes sense. But the thing about grief is it doesn't go anywhere. It stays with you, but you learn how to live with it, and you learn how to still get shit done and still have good days and still move forward. So I think that's what we have to do. Also, this just happened. We're all still, I mean, Alyssa and I took a day off. We were supposed to have the show. We were like, we need a time. We need a time. And that's normal. And I think it's stuff like that we have to do. So, but anyways, thank you, Jordan. I appreciate the call. And I think that's a very relevant thing to talk about.
Yeah, honestly, because I literally just heard about this 30 minutes ago because I saw Eve's story and I was like, oh. Also, I just want to say, like, I'm a huge fan. Like, you know, I don't know if people tell you, because I know you get a lot of hate messages, but, you know, it's important to hear the positive ones too. So.
Thanks, Jordan. I really appreciate
that. Nice.
That's so sweet. Well, thanks so much for calling.
That's
call back anytime. And if you want to call back in sometime and talk about your argument for God, I'd love to hear it. I hope if you've been watching me, you know that we can still have a totally cool conversation, even if we disagree. So call back sometime.
Well, because it's not even about disagreement, but it's like, I just don't feel the need to convince people that God exists, you know. I think it's very personal. It's a very individual self-reflection, you know. Like, it's not that it's like useless, you know.
Yeah. Well, I think call back even next week. I think that would be great. I think that's a great conversation. I'd love to have, and like maybe get your thoughts fully ready for that conversation. We can make the conversation, you know, is it worth trying to convince people what, you know, insert whatever sentence you want there. That would be awesome. I'd love to talk to you again, Jordan.
All right. I appreciate you. All right. Good night.
Thanks. Have a great night.
Bye, Jordan. That's so interesting that Jordan is a fan of your content and he's like a theist.
I actually have a decent amount of theist followers, which like some of my best friends are theists. So to me, that actually makes sense. And I deeply appreciate those sorts of theists, whatever you want to call it, where they have settled where they're at. They're honest. They believe. They can't help it. I don't think we get to choose our beliefs. And they're able to hear my criticisms because they're settled in where they are. So I think that's great.
Yeah.
But I think it would be a cool conversation. So hopefully Jordan calls back.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay. Do you have any preference of the next call?
No, you pick.
Why don't we bring Joe in, because we talked last week about filler words because someone in the chat was making comments about how I was saying the word like all the time. And I was like, I said something about how I needed to be more mindful of that. And you were like, absolutely not. And Joe wants to have that conversation. So I'm actually curious of what that conversation is. So can we pull Joe in?
Absolutely.
We also love Joe.
I know.
Hi, Joe.
Hi, Joe.
Yes,
How are you?
Good, thank you. Yeah, so this is more of an opportunity for both of you to talk about the filler words. I do have my own thoughts about it, but I'm more interested in what you two have to say about it.
Look at you helping us. I love it because I would have forgotten to bring it back up. But this is a big ick that I have is when people correct, which most often they correct women for this, or when they do correct men for it, they say that they sound girly or something. But for saying like, I say like all the time. I use it all the time. I think it's a great filler word. First of all, a lot of times I'm trying to communicate something and I don't want to fully assert the thing I'm saying. So it's just kind of like what I'm saying, you know? So like is a way to soften whatever the point is. It's a way to point out a bit of uncertainty or a bit of flexibility with whatever you're saying. It's also a great way to communicate emotion and that you're actually in the middle of thinking while you're saying this, and it's kind of coming out a little disjointed. And I don't know, it really bothers me when people critique that. And it shows me that that person is actively working on communicating something to me. I don't know what's wrong about that. I understand it annoys people. but I don't know. Anyways, that's my little take. And then I'll see what Alyssa thinks. And then I'd love to hear your thoughts, Joe.
I feel like I never really thought about kind of critiquing the critique of using that word, because I feel like it was something we learned in school that we had to try really hard not to do when we're doing presentations and stuff like that. But in reality, it doesn't diminish the point that we're presenting at the end of the day. You still heard every single piece of important thing that I had to say. You're just so determined to undermine the intelligence there because I used a filler word, which is interesting. And I never really thought about that until now. Wow, that's crazy to think about, actually.
And I use it most often, I think, when I'm telling a story, and I'll say, well, and then I was like, blah, blah, blah. And then I was like, which to me is, instead of being specifically, oh, I said this, because a lot of times I didn't say the thing, but I was like that. It's a way to tell a story. It's, it's just part of, it's something we say. So anyways, Joe, what are your thoughts?
My thoughts are, there is some interesting psychology behind why people use filler words, which is interesting. But I think what's more interesting to talk about is why people don't like filler words. Mm-hmm. And my thoughts around that is it has a little bit to do with tone policing. It also has a little bit to do with knowledge used to be from back in medieval England, reading, writing, and knowing words was only things that nobles could do. And so because of that, it was the rich people essentially dictating what language should be. And I think as a result of that, it has led to there being a difference between proper language and improper language. And so and then that kind of goes into not just from a filler words, but also I think the same reasons people don't like filler words is why people take issues with broken English or AAVE, which is, to me, it's going, there is only one way to speak, and the way to speak is the way that a cishet white man speaks. And if anyone else speaks in a different way, then that's a problem. So that's my thoughts on why filler words, people have a disdain from it. It comes from a bit of elitism, I think.
Mm-hmm. I think you are so totally correct. That's my thoughts.
I totally agree too. And I am going to be thinking about this for the next week, Joe, just thinking about how, when people say, don't say then you feel like you're saying it so often. I'm going to be saying all the time because I want to, because it has nothing to do with my intelligence. And I never thought about that really. And I keep thinking about the teachers that I had when I was in high school that really wanted us to stop saying that word. And they're all just boomers, booming. What do they know?
I understand, to try to play devil's advocate against myself. I understand, because I think Jimmy even said there's some filler word I think he uses that he was don't tell me to not say that or something like that. I don't remember. So I understand that as professional communicators, sometimes the audience is able to engage easier. You have a wider audience that can listen and follow what you're saying when you have less filler words, when you are more clear. And that's why people become professional communicators, as they learn how to do this in a way that other people find easy to listen to. But I hate when people point that out, when other people are just trying to communicate something. And also we have podcasts where there are people saying and all the time, and there's some of the top I mean, if we can sit and listen to Joe Rogan stoned out of his mind, asking people questions and saying and yeah and stuff really slowly all the time, then if a girl says like a couple of times when she's sorting out her thoughts, I just don't understand. It is tone policing. Anyways, all that to circle back around, Joe, and say I totally agree with you.
Yeah. So that's all I have on the thing. One thing I just as a little interesting exercise to do over the week is see if you can notice, do you use more or less filler words when you're on the call-in show, or less? Because there is some psychology to suggest that the more you're having to think about your words, the more filler words that you're going to be doing. So that's I think that would be an interesting thing to find out, if there's a difference between you trying to talk about complicated subjects and so having to think about them more, as opposed to in casual speech where you don't have to necessarily think a bit as much.
Right.
That makes sense.
Yeah. I'll be thinking about this.
Well, thanks so much,
so
Joe.
interesting.
I love it. Always love chatting with you.
All right.
Have a great one, Joe. Bye.
Good night, Joe.
All right.
Joe's like our honorary guest host.
I know. I'm also glad that they called to remind us to talk about that, because that is super interesting, and I genuinely will be thinking about that. Maybe I'll make a TikTok about that, just to see if any other conversation comes up about it, because I'm curious what other people have to say, because I don't know, that conversation I don't know that I've ever really had that conversation before about the word like, or about using words like that, those like filler words, in a way that was not someone saying that you shouldn't use them because they make you sound stupid. So I would like to know if other people would like to join in on that conversation. So maybe I'll make a little TikTok. Maybe we'll have a little conversation.
I can't wait. Cannot wait. Do you know which caller you want to go with next?
I am up for any of that. I'm up for any of them.
Did you see the one of them on there? Yeah. I don't know if I can even take that. Maybe we do a different one and then do that one.
Okay.
Everyone's gonna enjoy. What do you think?
Or do we? I mean, maybe we just rip the Band-Aid off.
Okay, let's do it. Let's chat to Alexander.
Let's do it.
Hey, Alexander, how are you? You are on with Eve and Alyssa.
First of all, I want to say I apologize. I know you guys were talking about me, if you guys wanted to pick the call or not. There is I know on the last call I said something in the last part, but it was directed towards a roach that had just popped up, and I just splattered that.
Hey, Alexander, let's just have this conversation and see how this one goes. I'm more interested in that than trying to figure out if that's how things went or not. I'd just rather have this conversation and see if this one goes well. Yeah, but that's actually not why we were even saying that. Yeah, we'll get to your point. So what did you want to talk about?
Yeah. I like to say, I wouldn't say that to a classic girl like yourself, But anyways.
I hope that you wouldn't say that to anybody. Like, that's already that's why I think it's going to serve you best to not talk about the last call, and let's just focus on the topic at hand, which is what you called about tonight, which is?
All right. I think that the reason why Trump won is because he has less misogynistic characteristics toward his policies.
And you think that most of America was like, we really care about misogyny, so we're going to vote for Donald Trump. We want to end misogyny in America. So, right, that's what I'm saying. So you think the majority of Americans, first of all, were like, misogyny is a problem in America, so we want to vote for Trump to fix this. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
Cool. So what made you reach that conclusion?
Well, I believe if you're trying to ban abortion rights, you're aiding towards less misogyny itself.
Do you know what the word misogyny means, Alexander?
An attack towards women or something like that.
You might want to know what that word means if we're going to use it the way you're using it right now. It means prejudice towards women.
Prejudice, like examples of like being sexist or like having some things you expect of a girl to do, but
so prejudice, preconceived opinion, generally negative, that is not based on reason or actual experience.
Yeah, if you have abortion, then you have. If you have abortion, then you're ending a life that could possibly have a potential goal. That you're just being negative and killing it.
Sorry, I'm very confused. Are we talking about abortion, or are we talking about whether or not Trump is misogynistic?
Well, both, but I'm directing it towards why he's less misogynistic, because he wants to end it, or he wants to,
So
I just don't think
if someone is a misogynist, then they are showing a hatred or dislike towards women and a prejudice towards women, and it can also refer to systems or environments where women are facing the like actions that are repercussions of the hatred, dislike, or prejudice of women. So when Roe v. Wade was overturned, it meant that states were allowed to decide the abortion care that the women in their state would receive. When that happened, that meant that the federal government was saying that on a federal level, we don't believe that this is something that we need to protect. We don't need to protect women's right to choose what they do with a pregnancy. That's not something that we need to protect. And doing that, they also knew that there were states that were going to allow for abortion bans. Trump and his admin knew that by overturning Roe, the goal was, or not the goal, they did that with full consciousness that there were going to be states that were going to make abortion access impossible or extremely, extremely dangerous and lethal for women. And they did it anyway. Does that really sound like a decision that a person would make if they really cared for women?
I don't believe he had it for that reason. But would you say that if you banning against abortion, that's misogynistic?
Yes.
I would say that I don't know that you understand the meaning of the word misogyny. I'm trying to understand if you know actually what misogyny is. Do you understand now what it is, now that we've started explaining it to you?
Yeah, I mean, sort of. Is it like an example, like give me an example of misogyny towards men, like what the...
That would be called misandry, and it's not. It's a different thing. So, sexism. So basically, think about being sexist toward women.
Yes. I pointed that out. Sexism a little before.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm struggling to understand how you think that banning abortion supports your idea that Trump is against misogyny. How is a man making decisions about regulating women's bodies anti-misogyny? We don't have to call it pro-misogyny. I'm just trying to understand how you think Trump is going to help the misogyny problem. And I really don't understand how this relates to abortion.
Maybe I got the abortion part wrong. Like, if it's not directly defined as misogyny, but I mean, there's a lot of cases where I think it's a greater deal of misandry towards men than women. I mean, in this culture, I mean, you got a lot of court cases that appeal to women before men that they've been wrongly accused. They get absolute, like marriage, for example, it's super towards women. A lot of things are towards women.
Marriage
and
is
their benefit.
super toward women. Can you explain what you mean by that sentence?
You got the deal of if anything happens within the marriage, it's the court is going to lean more towards the woman. You know what I mean? To take the money, take the kids.
Hold on.
No, that's not true.
First of all, that's just not true.
Both parents have a shared amount of custody over their child right now. As it stands with no fault divorce, children are 50-50. That no fault divorce is also part of the Project 2025 plans to repeal, which would go against your argument also.
I also am really confused. You called in saying that you think people voted for Trump because they're worried about misogyny and they want to end misogyny, but now you're saying that we actually don't have a misogyny problem. It's actually men being experiencing prejudice from women, and that's the problem we have. So I feel like you're all over the place. I don't know if you really thought about this before you called. I feel like you didn't even know what the word misogyny means when you called. I'm just really trying to understand this conversation. I'm having a hard time. So walk me through it.
I sort of had to understand what misogyny means, but it was more of like a sexist view, right?
So does America have a problem with misogyny, or do we have a problem with misandry?
I think we have a problem with misandry, actually.
I feel like I'm saying that word wrong, but
I think women have more of a thing to ask of men, right? For them to be at a like peak level in order for them to be a possible candidate for like a relationship. Like there's this making over $100,000 a year, and then there's a lot of like I'm trying to think of the word like.
Most women I know that are married make more money than their partners. So I already don't know what you mean at all.
Yeah, but you said most women. Is that the whole statistic?
Also, listen, Alexander, here's the other thing too. If the only thing that a man is providing in a marriage or a partnership is the money that they put on the table, that's not very much. Like that can't be the only thing that they're bringing to the table. Like whenever that conversation comes into play, I sort of get a like are you fucking kidding me? Because women are if this is a partnership where they're going to have children, they're going to carry that child, they're going to do the primary caretaking of that child until they're old enough to like be weaned off of whatever they need directly from a mother. Many times, and if we're talking about like traditional homes, which I assume is sort of the scope that you're thinking of, they're going to be doing cleaning and cooking and general childcare. So, and in most homes in the United States, both parents need to be working. So I don't really know why men think that just by paying the bills, like the women also have to be working and also doing everything else. So I don't really know in what way.
Because why would they need to be working if a man can be the sole provider? And that's just how it's been, you know, like.
Because our economy is not really set up for a single income household anymore. It's too expensive. So most people can't really do that anymore.
Can I ask? Well, so Alexander, I'm just so interested in what you called in for, which is to say that Trump is not misogynistic, that America cares about misogyny, and so that's why they voted for him. I really am trying to understand why you would reach that conclusion. Do you have a mom or a sister or a girlfriend or something?
Yeah, I have a mom and a girlfriend.
Okay. So if somebody said to your mom or your girlfriend,
She's on the call,
if
by the
they
way.
said about her, if they said about her that they could just go up and grab her by the pussy if they wanted, would you feel like that was misogynistic to say?
I mean,
If
if somebody told, like, if someone random told that to my girlfriend, I mean, I don't know the content of his heart. I mean, maybe he respects totally women and he just says something like a locker room kind of talk. I mean, have you ever used kind of those words on your girl talker?
No, I haven't. No,
Never.
I don't talk about other humans like that. It's actually
I would
disgusting.
never talk about literally anyone ever, like grabbing another human being's body parts. Never.
I feel like men and women are different. That's why we have different mindsets.
Hey, Alexander,
been,
back to my questions about Donald Trump. If someone said about your mother that she is not very smart at all and she just goes out and she yaps, and they said this because she's a woman, would you think that that's misogynistic?
Yeah, totally. I would be, yeah. I would be
cool. If your girlfriend's dad said she has a very nice figure, if she weren't my daughter, I'd be dating her, would you think that was appropriate?
Hell yeah.
If your girlfriend's dad said that about his own daughter, that he would date her if she was not his daughter, you're okay
and
with
that she has a nice figure.
Listen, men are visual. I mean, it's nature. What can you do?
Alexander.
So all you
Alexander.
convinced me of, Alexander, is that Donald Trump is a misogynist, and so are you. That's all this call is convinced me of.
I want to also take this opportunity, Alexander, just like for a moment, because I need you to also understand, if your girlfriend's dad said that to your girlfriend and you were in the room, or she even told you about it, you heard it and you said and did nothing, you have abandoned her in a situation where she is profoundly unsafe. You abandoned her in that, because that is not a normal, safe thing for a father to say about a daughter. That's disgusting. And for centuries, we have allowed men to have this like free pass that it's in their nature, and they just say, no, it's a crock of shit. That's not realistic. You've given yourself a free pass to ignore the responsibility of being a human being who is an ally to everyone else. Like, I'm telling you, your girlfriend would absolutely feel unsafe in that situation. And for you to feel like you would be able to be in that room and be like, yeah, brother, and like fist pump her dad, who is openly being disgusting, incestuous in front of you, that's terrifying. And I feel very scared for your girlfriend.
I heard it wrong. I thought if my dad said that to my girlfriend, but
that's still
still
fucking weird, man.
It's like still weird.
It's still so fucking weird. I just gotta say, I'm not even convinced that this is a serious call. I feel like you're just trolling at this point. You've been all over the place. You haven't been able to stick with your initial argument. I don't even know what your argument is, really. I don't know that I'm interested in continuing the call. And we do have to get to Super Chat. So unless Alyssa has something else she wants to add on, I'd like to get to our last two calls. I don't feel convinced at all that Trump is not misogynistic, which is what it says you called in to say. If anything, I feel like, well, he's very misogynistic, and he got misogynistic people to vote for him, and that makes sense. So anything you want to add, Alyssa?
The only thing that I want to...
I'm going to... The only thing... I don't know
what you said, but... The only thing that I want to add is, it sounds like, I don't know, you're like coughing and whatever. It sounds like you're just like smoking weed or whatever. And like, that's fine. Go off. But this is like, you have to be a little more clear-headed. Like, you have spent 16 minutes of our time, and a portion of several minutes of that time was us trying to determine if you knew what the word misogynistic was. And that was a word that you used. So like, on top of the things that you did say, frankly, being shitty, I also don't really feel like you called in good faith. And so I think we should just drop the call because I'm not really interested in hearing what he has to say in response to that.
Yeah.
That was just like
totally
disingenuous.
Also, is he the guy that did call and called me a bitch at the end of the phone call? That's who that was?
Yeah, I think that's what he was
trying to say. There was a roach that walked. I don't
believe that for a fucking second.
No,
get out of here.
Not for 1 second.
And
you still took the call. That's fine.
Good.
Yeah,
not
that's
for
a good idea.
Second. That guy sucks. His girlfriend should dump him.
Dude, if his girlfriend is watching this for some reason,
dump him.
Please, for your own sake. I don't know how I feel like this kid must be young. I feel like you might be young. You have life to live. Don't waste it on boys like this. You deserve so much.
He just straight
better.
Up said that he would not care.
He said he would high five his dad.
Yeah, that's disgusting. That's disgusting. You, Alexander's girlfriend, deserve more than that. You deserve more respect than that. Also, before he said he had a girlfriend, which I'm suspicious about the girlfriend, before he said he had a girlfriend, us in the chat, we were all just going incel, 100%. Like, there's no fucking way. So I don't even believe that he has a girlfriend, if I'm being so honest. But if he does, God, I hope she leaves.
Yeah, yikes. That was... big yikes. We are nearing the end of the show, so should we get through these last 2 calls and then we can take super chats of $5 or more?
Yes.
Which one do you want to? I guess we'll just go down the line. So we'll talk to Noah first. Let's see. Hey Noah, you are on with Eve and Alyssa. How are you tonight?
Hi guys. I'm not too bad. Just kind of tired, to be honest.
Hear that.
What do you want to talk with us about?
Is my audio okay?
Yeah,
you sound great.
Okay, yeah. So I want to talk about TERFs, or trans exclusionary radical feminists. I am coming from a place where I used to be a MAGA cultist, and I don't mean like just somebody that voted for Trump. I mean I was a full-on diehard transphobic MAGA guy, and I have some very good friends of mine now that are trans, and I'm trying my best to, I guess I'm trying to communicate it to the public why it's ridiculous. And the problem I'm running into is I'm having a lot of women that act like being an ally for trans people is like detracting from their womanhood, or they act like it's like demeaning to them because they were born women.
Ignore them.
So don't even talk to them.
The problem, I mean, no, if you can have, it's just like anybody else who doesn't value fellow human rights. You know, to me, I have to treat this the same way as I do an evangelical family member when it comes to talking about trans people. And so if somebody is actually willing to be educated and have a conversation, you feel like there's any chance of it being productive, have that conversation. I actually think that's amazing. But there's a certain point where somebody's just bigoted and they just have fear and it manifests as hatred, and it's just like not, you don't have to, I understand some people find themselves in those conversations and they're like, well, now I feel like I'm being accused of not caring about women because they try to like manipulate the conversation so much, but that's just bullshit.
Exactly.
You can care about women and you can care about trans people very easily at the same time. And there's no excuse for not being able to do both. So I think just put a hard line, like just like you would with, you know, some evangelical saying that trans people shouldn't exist. Like, shut that shit down. Just shut it down. That's my take. Maybe Alyssa has something more insightful, but I just don't have time for that shit.
That's exactly what I was thinking too. Like, I'm sorry.
No. Go ahead. You go ahead.
Well, what she just said about like if you try to like where they try to make it out like, oh, well, you're being anti-feminist or whatever if you support it. So I'm like in this position where I'm trying to educate about it, and then it's like they're making it out like if I go the other way, they're going to be offended. It's like I'm going to offend somebody whichever way I look at it. I'm just trying to explain I'm just in this situation where I don't.
Yeah. Well, welcome
very
to activism.
disappointed in a lot of people.
You're gonna piss people off, and you're gonna be disappointed with humans in general, and then you're gonna be inspired by the ones that are still doing the work, that are still showing up, that are still fighting for their fellow humans' rights, and that's why we do this. So, first of all, amazing. Also, I just want to congratulate you before. Sorry, we keep not letting Alyssa talk, but I want to congratulate you on that monumental mind change. And it sounds like not only did you change your mind, and not only did you, find yourself becoming a better human for it, but you're now advocating to help other people do the same. And that is so fucking cool that you're wanting to have these conversations, that you could have doubled down and stayed in the mindset you were in, but you changed your mind and then decided to go out and help other people who need to get out of that as well. That's phenomenal. So I just want to say that.
I mean, I feel guilty. I mean, I am guilty. It's like, I don't know. I feel like because of who I used to be, it's like I wish that. Well, for one thing, I wish that we weren't going into another 4 years of what we're about to deal with here. So,
yeah. I think another thing too that's interesting about that conversation with trans women and cisgender women is women in general get pit against each other a lot. Like, it's not uncommon for women to feel like because one woman is succeeding, I can't also succeed, or to feel jealous of a woman who is, similar to me to succeed, because we just get a lot of that. Like, I think even about like, this is like silly, but I remember like Britney Spears and Christina Aguilera, completely different music styles. But when I was a kid, like it felt like it was Christina versus Britney. Like, who are you a fan of? And in reality, like, I was a fan of both. I didn't want to choose, and I never did. I still love their music. And for them, I can't imagine what that experience, was like, being like the two biggest pop stars. We see that even like Charlie XCX and Lorde, like we see it in entertainment a lot, but it happens in day-to-day life too. And so I think some of that reaction, some of it I think is fear of what they don't understand, but in reality, they don't have to understand. They just have to accept it. Like, they don't actually have to understand why a person is trans, because that's that person's experience. It's like, I don't understand why someone's favorite color is green, because my favorite color is pink, but it actually doesn't matter, and their favorite color is still allowed to be green. I don't have to understand it, but I have to be like loving and accepting. No, go ahead. There's a delay.
Yeah. And sometimes, because I used to do this myself. I think that like they're like trying to find an angle to portray being offended, like without actually, but like because they don't want to just admit that they did something wrong. Because this is what I would do. Right. So I would look for an angle to be like, oh, well, you're offending me now. Like it's just like a way to like try to get the other person to shut up. Sometimes I think.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yep. Have you called Takis about this topic, by the way?
No, so Takis is earlier in the day, and I typically work till 5:30.
Oh yeah, I gotcha. Well, I guarantee you they've had these calls too. So I would just go look at some of their other clips as well.
Yeah. I also, my last like thing that comes to mind about this too is the real meaning of feminism is everyone having equal rights. It's not having any woman like stand above anybody else's rights. And so if these people are feminists, like true feminists, then they should also want the rights of trans women and all trans people to be aligned. So I would also remind them that being a feminist means that you want equal rights for everyone. And that would be inclusive of trans women. And it's also interesting. I wonder what they would, if you really were to drill down on the levels of why. It's like, why do you feel that way? Why do you feel like you can't all be sharing the same space? Like, what feeling does that bring up for you that you feel like that's tough for you? And I wonder like how many levels you would have to drill down before they're like, I actually don't know.
I think it's just fear.
Because there really is no reason. Yeah. But like, fear of what? Like fear of what?
Right.
You know, like what could you possibly be so scared of? You know, and it's funny too because like so when I think about like reasonable fear, like I'm scared of being outside alone, not because of a trans woman, because I would be scared that like a bear or a man, like that whole fucking argument. So like I don't really know where the fear is.
It's like all the people that go, oh, well, I don't want someone pretending to be trans to come into the bathroom with my children. What you're actually saying is you're not afraid of a trans person. You're afraid of someone pretending to be trans. You're afraid of somebody that's not trans.
Right. You're afraid of a predator, which like, cool. We all, nobody wants a predator and nobody's advocating for predators. And that's really inhumane and disgusting for people to take that and use it as an argument of human beings that are just trying to live. I have no patience for it, honestly. But I love that you're even having these conversations and all of that. I think that's amazing.
Yeah.
I had a friend, we're no longer friends, but they're like hard alt-right, and they are trans. I even used to use them as like the token trans, like, you know, like what people do with I'm not racist because I have a black friend, because this person is a Trump cultist and was trans. And I'm like, see, Trump has transgender supporters, so he's not transphobic. Right. And that's obviously silly. But I seen a thing the other day. It said slugs for salt, and that really
that's really funny.
Really
I get comments. The last week I've gotten so many comments, and I've had a lot of people unfollow me, although I've had thousands more follow me. So it's sorting itself out. But I've lost a lot of followers, and they've told me, oh, I was here for your take on religion, but now that you've said something about politics, which I don't understand why they're surprised now. I've been saying all of this the entire time I've been doing this. But anyways, they're saying, well, now that you're talking about this, I can't buy it. And I'm just like, how can you be an atheist or somebody that supposedly values skepticism, which is what I'm always trying to promote, and then vote for the guy who wants to make this a Christian nation? It's hilarious. Like atheists for Trump, to me, that is very much like slugs for salt. Like that's just, I know they exist. They totally exist. There's every kind of person and they all exist. And it's wild.
It's crazy the amount of people that want to vote for Trump because of a particular stance, and then actually he's the weaker candidate, like guns, for example. Trump is not this, like people think that Trump was, that's not about this anyway, but the amount of people that vote for him because of abortion or the, you know, the whole transgender people participating in sports, or I'm voting for Trump because of this. And it's just like, have you actually researched your candidate? I mean, the guy's dumb with his brain. I don't get it.
Yeah. We just had a guy call in and try to make the claim that Trump is going to help with misogyny in America. So clearly,
that guy.
This is, that's, it's not the best informed voters that we have right now, but it's wild. Well, Noah, we've got one last call to get to, but it was really great talking with you. And again, congratulations on making that change in your life. And that's really, really amazing.
Yeah, and thank you for having tough conversations.
All the folks on the line.
Oh, that makes me happy.
So cool.
No, thank you for having tough conversations with people too. It's so important, and it's really kind that you do. So, you know, we appreciate it, and we appreciate your call.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Noah. Have a great one. Bye.
Good night, Noah.
People like Noah give me hope for the rest of humanity. That is so cool to hear. Just love that. We've got this one last call, and then we'll get to our super chats of $5 or more. Are you good for this call? Do you have enough time for it? I know we're running a little over. Okay.
No, I'm good.
Cool. Hey there, you are on with Eve and Alyssa.
Hello.
Hi.
Hey. Do you pronounce your name just Ale, or am I just totally butchering it?
It's Ale, like, you know, the Lady Gaga song, like Alejandro, yes. But except it's Alejandra.
No, I love it. I got it. Ale, that's beautiful, actually.
Thanks.
So what did you want to talk about today? Oh my God.
So because of the election, like I've always had this back and forth with my sister-in-law. My sister-in-law and my brother homeschool their kids, and they use the IBLP teachings or whatever. I don't know what they call it, but it's like the cult to teach the kids, and like they believe in that whole quiverful theology. So I doubt they're going to stop having kids, and so they're super indoctrinated, and it's really scary. And recently, I messaged my sister because she was celebrating Trump's win, my sister-in-law, and I told her that, it hurt me for her to celebrate this because my sister and my cousin have both needed emergency abortions because of ectopic pregnancies and miscarriages. And so I told her, I was like, and we live in Texas. So I told her, had that happened now, they would have died. And same thing with like my mom is a green card holder. I'm super afraid of her getting deported. I might get deported because I'm would be considered, I guess, an anchor baby. and so I was telling her all of this, and then she got upset with me and said I was attacking her and saying that I was saying that she wants my mom to get deported and my cousin, my sister to die, and saying that like I was basically slapping her in the face with my words.
Wow.
And this has happened before too with disagreements that we've had. So pretty much any time that I say anything that she feels is an attack, she comes at me like this, and it sucks because like she's basically attacking my character in this way, saying that like I'm slapping her in the face this way when I literally just said I was hurt by her celebrating this. And so I don't know, like part of me wants to reply to her and like use that whole Bible verse of like, because she used the Bible verse of love endures all and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, okay, well, apparently love does not endure a disagreement. But I feel like she would just get even more upset. And I don't want to lose touch with her kids because especially her oldest, or the second to the oldest, who is a girl. And she's been parentified, like, it's like full swing. She's taking care of all the younger siblings, and it's really sad because I think she's 11 right now. And,
oh my God.
And I just don't know how to like handle, I guess, interacting with her, but also still like, I don't want her to cut me off from the kids, if this keeps going, but I also like, she's just saying that I'm this terrible person. And I don't know. I have a lot of, I don't know, any thoughts. I'm just going to stop talking right now.
First of all, I'm so sorry that you've been dealing with that. That's awful. I think I've learned that there are certain family members that I have to just have very firm boundaries surrounding what I talk with them about. And I also consider, I now feel very protective over who I'm vulnerable with. I love being authentic and I love being honest, but vulnerability, like letting somebody know like, hey, this makes me feel hurt because of blah, blah, blah. I've now learned that is a privilege to have access to in my life. And if somebody is going to respond back with things like what a terrible person I am, that's clear to me that this person is not interested in what I might be feeling and what I'm trying to communicate. So if I were you, if the priority is to keep relationship with the kids, Alyssa's dog is cracking me up.
I know.
I would just set firm boundaries with your in-laws and not engage with them on that level. Because I don't know that it's going to be productive. When you're family, things are such high stakes, especially when it comes to emotions and all of that. So I think boundaries are going to be your best friend here, and not engaging in those kind of conversations unless they're willing to, that's how you set the boundary. Hey, unless you're actually interested in hearing my perspective and engaging in a way where we treat each other well, and we, don't go to extremes like that, then these are things we need to not talk about. And then I have to understand that you don't care about how I feel when it comes to this. And then you have to process that on your own. I don't know if any of that's making sense, but that's kind of the route I've had to take with some people, because they, when people are afraid and when they're relying on dogma, which I know all about, like ATI, that cult, it's bad news bears. It's like just the worst of the worst indoctrination. They cannot care how you feel. They cannot care about whatever facts you may have to present. They are so stuck in their own stuff and their own fear that they're not going to hear you. They are in defense mode at all times, because they have to protect themselves from questioning and from the possibility that maybe what they're doing is causing harm. So boundaries are great. And then being there as somebody outside of their echo chamber for them to maybe gain perspective, through whatever it is you post on social media, or even just through how you are, how you interact and how you treat the kids and all of that. That reflects well back on you not being in a cult and still being a kind, decent human being. Anyways, Alyssa.
I think that's all. I can't think of anything different. I would say I think it's going to just be a boundaries game, and maybe it's good to also take some space, and you can explain to them. I've been really upset about this conversation, and as I've been thinking about it, I think that maybe our personal relationship is gonna have to change, and we need to have some really strong boundaries if we want to be able to be somewhat in each other's lives. But your children are really a priority to me, and so I would really like to take a couple of 2 weeks of no contact, and then maybe we can come together and decide what boundaries work best for us. Because I think Eva's right. Unfortunately, it's kind of like you I don't think that there's a realistic space for you to find enough shared ground in trying to get them to come over to your side or agree with what you're saying, so I don't think that that's going to be the answer. I think that they're just going to want to kind of believe what they believe, and I think it's going to be really important for you to continue to stay in the kids' lives, so that in the event that they need the support of somebody who is not involved in all of this, you have been a person who has shown that you are, capable of having boundaries and capable of being a safe, stable person in their lives. And I think they have to be sort of the priority, because their safety moving forward is going to be really important. And you want to, I think it sort of sounds manipulative, but it would be great if you could have your brother and sister-in-law be able to trust you enough to be able to, spend time with their kids alone, or I don't know, be able to give them a little bit of the experiences in life that they might not be getting at home. But yeah, I think ultimately it's going to be prioritizing being able to have that relationship with the kids moving forward.
Yeah, I think that's what I have to do, and it's hard. I wanted to ask Eve, what's your suggestion for, I guess, the best way of getting involved with the kids in a way, and how to let them know that I am here for them if they ever question, because they are so indoctrinated. Like the oldest one, he's a boy. He's so indoctrinated to the point that the last time that I saw him, he said that boys shouldn't have long hair because that's for girls. And he even said something about Biden cheated. And they lived in Australia. They barely moved back to the States. And the fact that he immediately was already saying, "Oh, I've heard that Biden cheated, from the last election." And it's just, they have no outside, they're in a cult, and they have no outside communication. They're not allowed to see anything secular other than ironically the Duggars, which is just even more worrying.
Yeah.
And I just
I know
what's
that
the
world
best way for me to reach out to the kids?
I think, unfortunately, because we're talking about minors here, and to me, ethically, I don't know that you can. There are certain lines you can't cross because, understandably, the parents then have the right, like as you pointed out, to cut you out. And then what good are you? I think, in my experience, the people that I interacted with growing up that really I've looked back and been like, oh man, that's why like they were like this, you know, they didn't believe, but they were cool and blah, blah, blah. The ones that kind of influenced me, if you will, by just like existing as humans, they did just that. They existed, you know, they were kind, they were good people, and they treated me nicely. And sometimes they would ask me questions back. But it was, to me, the number one thing that threw off my entire theology is, how could somebody who doesn't believe what I believe be so kind and be normal? Because I was taught that if you are not a true Christian, then you don't experience true happiness. You can't actually love people, all of that. So just having somebody shatter that by existing was already great. And I think just by being yourself, that's already going to be amazing. I think asking questions back. Well, oh, so why do you think that boys have to have short hair? Like, just helping them self-reflect is already going to be amazing. You don't have to push it. You don't have to go anywhere. You don't even have to say what you think. I think as they get older, they're going to ask you, what do you think? And then that gives you an opportunity to share. But in general, I think just reflecting questions back on them, that helps teach them about critical thinking, and then just being a positive presence in their life that cares about them. That's gonna already go really far. And you never know, in their teen years, their adult years, they may recognize you as a safe person in a time of need, and then they feel like they can reach out to you. And I do think you'll know as they get older, like when is an appropriate time to be like, hey, if you do ever need somebody outside of the home to be there for you, that has no expectations on you about what you believe or what you don't believe, I'm here for you. If you ever have questions, I'm here. You'll know when those conversations are appropriate or not. They'll be natural, I think.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, because I really want to be there, especially for their teen years, especially for the oldest girl.
Yeah.
It's so sad seeing her, because the last time that we saw her, I mean, like I said, she's 11, and she wanted to come with me and my husband to like Target by herself without the rest of the kids. She asked specifically, can I just go alone with you? And she just grabbed onto my hand without me telling her, because like she wants to be a child, you know, and I can feel that she's not getting to be a child. And like, she just like, even at the house, like she just sat on my lap and wanted to feel like she was a child. And it's just really sad.
Yeah. Ugh, that's very common too in those circles. I also know there's quite a few content creators out there that have left the IBLP cult, and I'm sure there's an eldest daughter out there that's talking about this sort of stuff too, and that might be insightful. If I were you, I would start looking into some of those people that are speaking and sharing their stories, because that could give you insight as well as far as what helped them get out.
Yeah, I definitely. I bought the Duggars, the women's book.
Oh yeah,
that I guess kind of left, and I sent my sister-in-law the books too, but she never said anything about it, so I doubt that she read them.
Oh, that's so fascinating. Yeah.
Have you gotten to read it yet? I'm curious if you've read it and if you have any like thoughts on it.
I did. I actually I've read both, or I guess audio listened to both of them, and they had really good insights on, like, they talked about how horrible the dad was and how like he just took advantage, and how harmful the I guess the IBLP teachings are, because one of them specifically I guess is still an active Christian, and so she was talking about how like, yeah, I still believe in God and all this stuff, but then you know, the IBLP damaged my relationship with God, and so that's why I was hoping that my sister-in-law would at least read that one and see, and hopefully see how like it's damaging women or girls as they're growing up being in this cult, and just especially with the Doggers, because like that's the only, I guess, quote unquote secular media that they're allowed to consume is the whatever show that they had on TLC, and it's terrible because like she was saying that it's one of like it's really wholesome and all this stuff, and it's like, but here's like a behind the scenes of how not wholesome it really is,
right?
And I'm hoping it opens her eyes, because that's kind of what opened my eyes to, not open, I mean, I already knew it was a cult, and I watched like all of the IBLP stuff, like Shiny Happy People and all that, but it just kind of gave me more of fuel to be like, I want to be there for those kids, because it's horrible.
No, that's amazing, and you're already clearly an incredible aunt for caring and wanting to be there. So I have a feeling you are going to be a very important person in their life, for more reasons than just that you're their aunt. So best of luck with that, and thanks so much for calling in.
Yeah, thanks for taking the call.
Good night.
Night.
All that ATI stuff is so sad and
it's so tough. And it's tough because like I'm sure she has a lot of emotional reactions and wants to like even sending them the books too, it's like out of wanting to be helpful and just being like, just read it and having her not read it. It's like, oh my God. I can't imagine how frustrating that is, but really prioritizing those kids so hopefully they don't have to live like that in the future is going to be, I think, her main MO.
Yeah, I agree. Well, should we get to super chats and then we can all go to sleep?
Yes. Yes.
Let's do it. 10 pounds from Herbie Shine, an early-ish super chat as I think I'm heading to bed. Eve has been spoiling us with Facebook posts today. There are so many big, brave theists saying how wrong she is. How many will call in? The answer is 0. None of those theists called. We had some theist callers, but they're not the Facebook trolls that love to show up and tell me all these things. Still waiting on them to actually defend their claims. But thanks, Herbie.
$5 from Bobby Keniston. I was going to ask a question in the super chat, but I'm eating some lentils right now, so it's getting harder to type and eat at the same time. That's really
amazing.
Funny. That was very funny. That the lentils, the specific mention of having lentils cracked me up in that moment.
I know. I do love lentils, though. I'm not gonna lie.
Me too. I fuck heavy with lentils.
Yeah, same. $4.99 from Double Sided. Eve, do you have any advice on what to share with my family member who's considering attending the Bethel School of Supernatural Ministry? Yeah, tell him don't do it.
What is that?
Oh, it's where I went to ministry school. It's as weird as it sounds. The worst part is it's called BSSM for short. So you're just like, yeah, I'm a BSSM student. It's great.
Interesting.
Yeah, I would tell them that it is something that preys on young people who fundraise to come in and give their money and learn fake supernatural skills it's all a scam. There's all kinds of content creators. I just noticed this is like becoming a thing. Reddit is talking about it. I've seen a bunch of people on TikTok talking about it. So I think if you go search Bethel School of Supernatural Ministry stories on Reddit and on TikTok, you'll find some of those creators, and maybe that would help you. But thanks, Double Sided.
$5 from Monica. I'll be watching later, but you guys mentioned books the other day. Can we have a Chewed Gum book club? That would be so fun. Maybe for patrons. #DAP.
Ooh, maybe next, like the new year, we could pick a book and do that. That would be really fun.
I would love that. I do want to know, like, what we need to figure out what kind of genre of books we want to get into, because there's just so many directions in which we may go. But I love this idea. I don't think I've ever actually had a successful book club. One time during the pandemic, my friends and I decided we were going to try to read Twilight again, just to like for the giggles. We got to chapter 4 and we were like, "This is
so bad."
Oof! We got to chapter 4.
Is it not worth it?
The worst. It's just like obviously a YA book. Like it's not really meant for adults to be reading. But like some of the silly stuff that they say is this girl, Bella, moves to the wettest place in the continental, what do they call it? The wettest place in the Pacific Northwest. And then is putting on a black raincoat to go to her high school for the first day. And she's like, I hope I don't stick out too much. A black raincoat in the wettest place in the country? Why would you stick out? It's stuff like that where you're just like, what are we doing? A lot of really
That's amazing.
just silliness. Give it a try though. It might be fun. Might be fun for the giggles.
Amazing. I might do it. It's here at the beach house that I'm staying at. So,
Perfect time.
Might dive in. $5 for Monkey at Typewriter. I find my like count goes up as my comfort or familiarity with the subject matter goes down. That makes sense. Or if I'm furious, like when we talked last week, #dat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the word like or those specific filler words are to buy us time in a moment. And whether that's because you're feeling emotional or because you are looking for the right word to say next because you're not so familiar with the subject, I think that just makes sense. So anyways, thanks, Monkey.
$10 from Mr. Boricua 10. As a person on the spectrum, my brain specifically is programmed to hyperfocus on the most repeated words. It's annoying. Watch a game of NFL, hear how many times the word football was said. Oh my God. I can't imagine what that's
pretty
like.
Bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
$5 from Melatonin Ale. Is this Ale though?
That was Ale, yes.
Now we know how to say it. Sorry, that was my bad. Melatonin Ale. My husband uses as a filler phrase, and I didn't realize I used it too until I noticed he did. Yeah, I'm sure now I'm going to be paying more attention to this because I'm sure that's a thing. I have a filler phrase. I think I do say a lot. And I say, does that make sense? You guys probably hear me say on the show all the time. But
$10 from Hedonista. I would like to point out how many times Alexander said like, as well as a bunch of other linguistic fillers. Pointing out women's fillers is intentional tone policing and misogyny. I agree.
Yes. Thank you. $5 from Monkey at Typewriter. Alexander, you owe an apology to the people around you for the hours and days that you've stolen from them with your drivel. I'm a man, you're a boy.
That was a crazy conversation.
That was a really rough conversation. And he did call me a bitch before. And I was still, whatever. I don't care. Call me whatever the fuck you want. And I'll still have a conversation. But that was not even, that was just one of the dumbest conversations I've had in a long time, which is saying a lot.
Yeah, that was tough. $5 from Secular Felinist. How would we say that? Felinist, I guess.
Felinist?
What? Felonist, I guess. Well, that sounds like felon.
No,
though.
felinist. You're right. Felinist.
Felinist.
Great.
I don't know. What did another word?
Another word. Damn it. Prescriptivist.
Prescriptivist. Wow, my mouth does not know how to say that. I will say whom. #bad puns. #chewed tongue. Yeah. You put prescriptivist in a word with my tongue right now?
When you have a chewed tongue, it's very sad.
I do have a chewed tongue.
$5 from Moira Bannister. Misogynist isn't an insult. It means you contribute to a societal situation where women's rights are diminished, where women's opinions are devalued. Yeah. And I love that he tried to make the case that Trump is going to help with that in America. I mean, he never made the case. Honestly, I don't even think he attempted. But that was it was wild. Thanks, Moira.
I mean, he didn't know what the word meant. Oh, $5 from Moira Bannister. I realized I was a trans woman only partially because I started protesting so hard for a world in which all women are safe. Just fucking safe. Yeah, that was like when we had the call last week. I can't remember what her name. What's her name? Like it began with a B. Was it B? Maybe it was B. The trans woman who called last week and was trying to determine, if she should like move in with her girlfriend or move to a neighborhood that was more safe. And I was like, and this is the fucking point. The fact that we have to have that conversation so that some dumb fuck can have cheaper 10 cents cheaper gas. Get out of
Which
here.
is not even gonna be,
Not
that's
even
not
gonna
even how it
happen.
works. Yep. Also, I just have to say,
Unreal.
Moira, I love your name because I think saying Moira is so fun. There's something about that name that I just love.
Feels good. Feels good.
Yeah, it does. It does. $5 from Monkey at Typewriter. Eve, on activism, you're going to be disappointed in people. Well, activism found me about 35 years too late in that fucking case. Great show. Thanks, Monkey.
$5 from the Rod. I know it's not much, but you ladies worked me out of another $5. As for abortion, though I'm mainly pro-life, bodily autonomy is hard to argue against.
Yeah, and that's why I feel that you can be against getting abortions personally, or if you want to find that as a value in the person that you're with, do your thing. But yeah, bodily autonomy as far as legality goes, I do think that's the whole point. That's the only reason I even need to argue abortion is because otherwise I'm not trying. Like I said, I don't need to force people to get abortions. That's not the goal here. The goal is to allow women choice. So anyways, thanks, Rod.
Yeah.
Is this me? $5 from Virtue Signal. Noah, just like MAGA is a cult, Terfium is a cult, and the best way to protect against it is to understand it. Yeah, that's another good point too. Try to steel man their stuff, and those that can engage, I guess, engage with them. To me, I'm just like, can't do it.
Yeah. £5 from Vala Celine. Heart to all the allies in a tough world. I can't tell you how much I appreciate the line's unwavering support of trans people. Yay.
Also, your eye makeup in that picture is stunning, by the way. I assume.
Go back, Morgan.
Yeah, can we go look at it again?
Go back, please.
Morgan's like, don't do this to me.
Yeah. Ooh.
Well, really, you just have stunning eyes, but I'm
gorgeous. It kind of reminds me of there's that actress Liz Gills. You kind of look like her in that picture.
Oh yeah. Yep, I see that.
And she has very like gorgeous. Okay, thank you, Morgan.
Oh,
$10 from Tyler C. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Tyler. $5 from Space Barbarian. As a white male human person, I speak for all of us when I say that I am not discriminated against. Everywhere I go, I get a high five and a cocktail.
Must be nice. $5 from Bobby Keniston. Oh my God, hello. Bobby Keniston. No question or relevant comment. I just love the show. You two are such awesome hosts. Hope you... What you both do is really important. So thanks. I don't know what just happened.
Listen, we're like pumpkins. It's after 7:30. And so we're just like, all of a sudden, we're just like, can't do anything.
That's so funny.
$10 from Jamnik06. It only took 5 minutes to walk to the bar, yet took 2 hours to walk back home. The difference was staggering. That's really good. That's a good one. Hashtag chewed tongue. I didn't get the hashtags. I'm so sorry. I have to do the hashtags. Hashtag chewed tongue due to holding back poop jokes. Never mind. Why am I reading these? Hashtag snoring dog conspiracy theorist. Hashtag Alyssa has gas.
Maybe I have lentils too.
Yeah, maybe. $5 from Sheridan Bernasconi. Is that right? Oh, I wasn't even supposed to read this one. Go ahead. Really, the brain power is gone.
I know. Maybe Joe will step down before Jan 20th. Then Kamala can work some presidential magic with the powers from SCOTUS. Great show, ladies.
That would be cool. I don't know.
I feel like everything is very quiet, so I'm waiting for something weird to happen. Someone's going to say something weird. It's coming. We'll see.
$5 from Aaliyah Shauna Silverbow. I couldn't watch live again. Had to make an urgent visit to the eye doctor. Ooh, so sorry. I'll watch it back when my eyes aren't quite so dilated. Take my money. Oh, thank you. So sorry. And I hope that you feel better.
Yeah, feel better.
Or see better, whatever's happening.
Yeah. $5 from Moira Bannister. All filler phrases are valid. Hashtag linguistics. Agreed.
$20 from El Hisan. Thank you. For the dynamic duo, you are both great hosts. Just started looking at Eve's posts and sadly not shocked to see the vitriol from the religious men. Your dark eyes are beautiful like your heart, your mind, and your voice. That's so kind. Thank you.
That's
For those
really
who don't
nice.
know, I'm constantly told that I have demonic eyes, that they can see the darkness because I have fucking brown eyes. But these people love to find ways to bring bits of racism and all kinds of weird shit into everything. So it's just the color of my eyes.
$5 from SJL. Not a filler word, but apparently I say sure a lot. Didn't even realize until my brother's parrot started saying shirt. That's really funny.
That's amazing.
Oh my God. A parrot would be like a nightmare for someone who is self-conscious about the things that they say. Parrot or toddler, apparently.
Yeah, I was about to say, when I was a nanny, that helps you think before you speak. $6.99 from Chrysolazar Razolazurk. So much love and big things and admiration for what you do. This is greatly needed. The hosts rock and the line rocks. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Send us a phonetic spelling of your name. That can't be it.
Oh man.
$5 from Melatonin Ale. Thanks for taking my call. Sorry if I rambled. I have social anxiety and tend to do that when I'm nervous. Just so you can say it again, Moira.
Thank you.
That's really funny.
No,
and
you didn't ramble at all.
That was great.
That was a great phone call. Thanks for calling.
Yeah. Snoring dog reveal, by the way. I told you she was on my lap. She's like, $9.99
from 700 bees in a human suit. I tried to call in. Line was busy. I'll get through one of these days. You ladies are amazing. Oh, thanks for trying. Yeah, next week. Try again.
$5 from Jamnik06. Hey, Alishana, did you hear about the eye doctor that moved to the Aleutian Islands? Did I say that right? They wanted to be an optical Aleutian. What is that? Wait, maybe I'm not saying that right. How do you say that?
Aleutian.
I don't know.
Illusion.
Oh,
an optical illusion.
Yeah, that is important. That's to the joke, isn't it? That we know.
Yeah. Okay. Listen, we were doing our best. Hashtag fear Amargan's ban hammer. That's funny.
Yes. Hashtag. Jeez Louise. $5 from Aliashana Silvero. Hey, Jamnik06. Eye puns aren't puns. They're optical illusions. Amazing.
I love it. You guys are so funny.
Thank you so much, everybody. This was a wild ride.
It always is, isn't it? And please, match me. Go to thelinemerch.com and match me. I know.
Amazing.
I can't wait for you to get your sweatshirt too.
Same. Make sure you also go support us on Patreon. It's patreon.com/calltheline. And don't forget now I'm saying and I'm paying attention because it's a filler word. Don't forget, there we go. Don't forget the fundraiser on Saturday. We'll be hanging out with you guys then. And after that, we'll be back on Tuesday night. Love you all.
Love you guys.
Thank you, Morgan. You're the best.
Morgan who did it all today.